If you've ever been trying really hard to do something, but you find that when you so much as think about it, all the energy instantly drains out of you, leaving you feeling like a lifeless husk, then you've experienced burnout. Whether it happens with something we're learning, with our work, or even with a hobby that we used to enjoy, the experience of burnout always contains three main elements. The thing we're doing takes far more energy than it should, doing it feels completely pointless, and we generally hate every single second that we have to spend doing it. I've had more than enough experience with burnout throughout my life, so with this video, I'd like to share my approach to fixing it, so the next time it happens to you, you'll quickly be able to get back your energy as well as your overall fire for life. So, burnout is a kind of long-term exhaustion that impacts your overall state of mind. And the core reason it happens is that some of your psychological needs are not being fulfilled by the way you're spending your time. It's a problem that will build up over time, so while you can work on something uninspiring for a few days without causing yourself any real problems, the longer you put your efforts into something that's not mentally fulfilling, the more this energy-draining, misery-creating effect will build up. The way to set things right is to find ways to change what you're actually doing. Whenever people have a problem that affects their state of mind, you see them take this really bizarre approach to it, where they think they can just think their way out of it without actually changing anything about their behaviour. Well, that's a really stupid idea when the problem is something external. You can't just will yourself to feel different while ignoring real problems. You need to take action to fulfill your psychological needs in order to feel good about what you're doing again. The first of these needs is the need for a varied life. It's very easy to let the things we do become a stagnant routine. We'll start out with good intentions, trying to optimize how we use our time. But this ultimately results in us working the same way every day, which ironically is not the optimal way for the human brain to function at all. The human brain can't function like a machine that's specialized for doing one specific thing. It's a general intelligence that's meant to work on a wide variety of different tasks and apply creativity to adapt to new situations. And when we try to force our brains to keep doing the same thing repeatedly for too long, it rebels against you and stops working correctly. This is kind of like evolution's way of saying to you, hey, stop doing this, do something else instead, now. Literally anything else. To begin fixing burnout, you can start by adding a little bit of extra variety into everything you do, with things like working or studying in a different place, or changing your existing environment to make it a bit more stimulating. Another step you can take to add variety is using self-imposed challenges. Coming up with games for yourself can add a sense of purpose and challenge to things that were formerly just routine. For example, you could set target times for how long you want to hold absolute focus on something, and then reward yourself afterwards. After adding variety, the next level to making things psychologically satisfying is adding continuous learning to enhance the thing you're working on. The way I stop myself from getting tired of making these videos is by focusing on improving a different aspect every time. One week I'll be learning about lighting, the next I'll try to get better at filming myself. At other times I'll be working on writing out my ideas, or video editing, or animation. Switching my focus often is what prevents me from getting bored. Of course, not everything has as many different aspects to it as making videos does, but there's usually at least a few different sub-skills you can focus on learning to get better at. The reason learning is so important to restoring our energy and enjoyment is that as well as a need for variety, we also have a need for progress. We have to feel as though the things we're doing are leading us somewhere that we want to end up. The strategies I've mentioned so far work best when burnout is limited to one specific activity. But when that sense of fatigue goes beyond just one thing you're doing and ends up consuming most of your life, in a weird way, it actually becomes simpler to resolve it. Simple exhaustion is usually the cause of all-consuming burnout. Even if everything about the way you're doing something is right, doing too much of it at once can still stop it from working out well for you. We need to make sure we're taking proper breaks. Yeah, I know, I'm saying taking a break reduces fatigue like I'm the first person to ever have that insight. But while we all know it, we don't always act on that knowledge. Because when we're under a lot of pressure, we can experience a crushing sense of guilt whenever we're not trying to work on something that stops us from getting the rest we need. The key to overcoming this and making yourself take a real break is realizing that no matter what you try to do, one way or another, you will end up taking a break. Either you take a break by choice at the right time and fully re-energize yourself, or you put it off for too long and the break takes itself by breaking you and making you unable to continue. By taking breaks at the right time, trying to do less will actually let you do more. So make the most of this time. Don't allow stressful thoughts in, and make this time sacred. When you're doing things that fulfill your psychological needs, you need to do them wholeheartedly with zero guilt, with the knowledge that you're doing the best thing you possibly can be doing with your time. Eventually, you'll start to see the way you spend your time as not being split into contradictory behaviors like work and play or exploration and exploitation, but instead as a cohesive whole where everything that you do enhances everything else you do. This is the approach that makes things feel interesting again as your energy returns and the things you do begin to feel both more enjoyable and more worth doing again. Thanks for watching. I hope this video was helpful to you. If it was, then click like because it helps me out with the YouTube algorithm, and subscribe to see more videos like this. Have a great day.